What is going on, everybody out there? It's your man Takame Love Anime. Welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be on Hell's Paradise. Before we go ahead and get started, please consider a like, comment, subscribing. All that could really help this channel. If you like anime content in a lower tone, or you know what ASMR is, also check out my second channel. I have a link to that in the description. But I'm just going to be giving my thoughts on Hell's Paradise and recapping season 1. I just want to start off by saying for this video, I can't be the only one. What happened to the hype for this show? I know the build up and the lead up to it was like entirely at its peak, and I expected this show to have a massive impact the same way on not the same way, but close to a tier of where Chainsaw Man was. Chainsaw Man was a very big thing, also by Mappa, that came out at the time. And then Hell's Paradise was also in that realm of the Chainsaw Mans. And I thought it was going to be a really big show, and the hype would gravitate over, because anybody I spoke to about the manga, they loved the manga. They rave about it so much. And I haven't read it personally, and I think I'm going to after this season, because I like this season a lot. But I feel like after finishing this series, and probably from episode 8 and on, this series deserves all the praise and much more than what it already has. Think about the actual pacing in the story. So to have the story start off in such a manner with Gabimaru kind of thinking to himself, I'm a stone cold killer, but at the same time I need something to live for. Him knowing nothing but killing, but also being able to have that one glimmer of hope in his life, being his wife, is something that like you can't overlook. Even the most darkest people can find a light. To me, that's kind of crazy. At the beginning, they doing all they could possibly do to try to kill this man, and he couldn't die. And it's not that he didn't want to, just couldn't. And to start off on that point, and also be able to have Sagiri come in, and we get a little bit of representation from her side, of her supposed to be from this royal family, kind of her just being supposed to be a traditional kind of like housewife, I guess you could say, and all kind of other stuff, and her wanting to be a Asman and being ranked at one of the highest ones, and being able to hold her own because of her father and his craft. Like, they're one and the same, and to be able to have that aspect in one episode at the beginning is crazy to me. That was really had me thinking after the episode was over. I was like, man, this is kind of crazy. The fact that in this one episode they've already captured and set the scene so much. You can't overlook that. A lot of series have this thing where, like, when it comes to character development going on, the character development gets better going into further seasons and so on. I feel like early on in this one season, there's so much character development that is really insane to pinpoint it. From characters, man, like Yuzuhara, Fuchi, Senta, Mei, Aza, Noragari. Like, these characters had so much impact in ways that you normally wouldn't have thought. Like, when I first seen some of these characters on screen, I'm like, okay, cool. We've been brought into some more characters. I don't know what aspects they're gonna play, especially like Yuzuhara, Fuchi, and Senta. Like, those three, like Yuzuhara, I'm gonna call her Yuzu because I like that. Her not getting engaged, I used to think like, oh, she's only just doing that just to do it. Her not getting engaged to be able to analyze and figure out what's going on because she's a shinobi is genius. And it feels like it's something that should be just doesn't need to be said, but it has to be said, because if you, from the outside looking in, you'll look at it as if like, wow, she just doesn't want to help them if it doesn't benefit her. But it's her relaying information and showing, like, at the end of the day, we're all on this island. We got to stick together. Even if I am independent, I still have to rely on you in some form or way. And Fuchi being able to dissect and pick things up, even though he is in and out crazy. And Senta being one of the most important, literally at the end in episode 13, this man literally telling Shihan or Shahan, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry, let me know down below if you know how to pronounce it, where to actually cut, literally saving Yuzu at the same time. Like, him being so much of a key factor, because I thought he was a guy that reminded me of like High School of the Undead. Remember the guy in there where like he was a cool guy, and then he was just this massacre dude that had all the guns and knew how to use all of them. He gave me that vibe. But the dude was very sincere. Maybe his backstory, we'll see something about it. He might come back, who knows. But just those characters and the way that they were portrayed and used, amazing. In one season, in 13 episodes? That's super impressive. I'm not key moments in a lot of shows really set the foundation, and I feel like in the season 1 Hell's Paradise, a lot of key moments really set the pace for them in there too, man. When it was, one of them being when Sagiri got Gabimaru to change and to hold up to his word of while you're on this island, remain focused because you're trying to get back to your wife. Having him hold that in and have to realize that I'm not out to get you, I'm here to help you, is a shift that builds this trust between those two, that they're going to be a good bond going forward. As we'll talk about a little bit later on, but like Gabimaru with his Tao situation, and I'll address that in just a little. And then having Asa, I figure out his brother was literally Asa, and his brother being Asamon, literally crazy, so he could have bust him out. That's wild. I didn't even know that. And then at first I felt like Asa was one of the kind of those guys that was kind of just maybe fishy, but him and his brother and that dynamic is something you can't break up, and I like that. Him breaking his brother out even after they got thrown into the hole by the Tengen, sticking with him through the end, and having his aspect and him being morphed with the flowers now and kind of having these supernatural powers. Wild. Getting our first look at her saving Gabimaru, we being able to see her powers and seeing how she plays a factor, because she's supposedly one of the Tengen that got banished out in some way, which we're going to probably find out in the next season. People on the island started to understand the Tao and kind of sense it and realize that these gods, aka these Tengens, have weaknesses. Started to shift. It kind of made the series a little bit more of a battleground type of series with a great feel now, because now you know that these people are, as they're going on the island, these are fugitives or like people that are trying to get pardoned for their crimes in some type of way. They can only adapt to their surrounding because all they know is trouble. So as they stay on this island, they get better. I like that aspect, especially the Tao. At first I was kind of thrown off about it, didn't really know too much and didn't know how to feel about it, but now I love it. I think it's one of the dopest power scales, because right now it's a very simple power scale, but just the ability to see it and kind of being able to embed it, it's dope. I think it's one of those ones it's not overpowering and it adds to the show and doesn't take away. One of the biggest ones, probably to this point, that's going to lead on to the entire series is Senta saving Yuzu. Like, him jumping in front and saving her really spoke to his character and spoke to how he felt about her. And I think she knows that. Even though I feel like she might have been able to get out the way, but him just being reacting fast and kind of being that person, I praise him for that. And I think that was really commendable. And he's one of my favorite characters of season 1, definitely. I really like him a lot, especially with Yuzu too. Like, I feel like it's going to be something there. Like, she's not going to forget about this. Hopefully she doesn't. We don't know how Yuzu is, but we'll see. The Tao, like, being able to see it, being able to give it to other people, to energize them again, like, I don't even know what more to expect out of people at this point. I'm just so intrigued with the power system that they kind of got with the Tao, because literally, if you think about it, you could use it so much to where you could lose your memory or you could lose yourself, leading into the point to where Gabimaru, when he used the Tao, he's kind of has it in his whole body, and you see Mei look at him and there's no Tao up in his head. Him reverting back to the original hollow Gabimaru. Like, literally insane to me that you can affect yourself and throw off your balance in certain ways. They made it reminiscent, explained it kind of like yin and yang, in a way. It doesn't take away from the show, which is one of the biggest things that I was kind of concerned about when they first got introduced. I was like, how is this aspect going to add to the show and not take away? Because it's already so much going on in this island and we're cutting between people. and we're learning a lot of things at this moment. How can you introduce this new element and not actually overbear us and lose us in such a short amount of time? And they did it perfectly. Like, the Tao was so self-explanatory. It felt like we were learning it as they were learning it, and it kind of felt like after a certain while, even the most basic person could pick it up by the way that they were demonstrating it. So I like that a lot. Gabimaru and Aza, him now being embedded with the flower and everything like that, and him learning how to use Tao so fast, and then Gabimaru losing his memory and kind of trying to figure out why he's there now, even though he feels like his wife is there, but she's not necessarily, even though Yuzu planted that seed in Sagiri's head of like, maybe he's just lying. Like, she's a shinobi, so she's bound to throw people off, but she might be onto something. She kind of had me thinking a little bit too, but I believe that his wife is real, even though all his past stories of him being lied to and everything, but there's something there for him to live for. Maybe she might not be real. Maybe Sagiri might be the one he ends up with. I don't know. But something's there, and we're bound to find out later. Last thing that we seen, where we were introduced to another Asaman that's going to be shipped to the island, because to check up on it, because it's been 3 days, which is crazy. That all that happened in 3 days is it's insane for that to happen in 3 days. But Shugen, I'm excited to see him get onto the island, because he just looks like a character that has the intensity of a Gabimaru that's kind of very dark. He has a Sasuke type of feel to him, kind of, in a way. To see how he gets on the island. Is he going to be thrown off that his Asaman fellowings are gone and there's only a few of them left? Or is he going to be ashamed of them and just kind of kick them to the curb? You never really know when people get to this island, because a lot of people have shifted. So I'm excited to see him be introduced into this and see how things go with him. But I want to say, let me know what y'all thought down below. What were some of y'all favorite parts of Hell's Paradise? What was one of your favorite characters, if not your favorite character? My favorite character as of right now might be Shohen, Tensa's master, or Gabimaru, of course. So, or Sagiri. So just let me know who yours is. Let me know if you agree with me. Where did the hype go for Hell's Paradise? Do you think that this next season is going to be even better than the first season? Because I do. But it's been your man Takami Love Anime, and I appreciate y'all listening to this discussion. More videos coming out pretty soon. Keep watching anime. Peace.